Let me start with a confession. I've lost count of how many times I've promised myself I would finally change a behavior. Eat better, exercise more, stop compulsively looking at my phone with no reason. Early in my life, it was hard to ever change anything, but nowadays it is easier, and I'll tell you why later. If you're watching this, chances are you've been there too. And maybe you've wondered, why is it so hard to change something I clearly want to change? Most advice on behavior change is incomplete. It zooms in on just one part, like habits or motivation or willpower. Useful, but not the full picture. In this video, I want to give you that fuller picture. We're going to ground ourselves in the best research from psychology, neuroscience, and coaching. My role as your coach is to walk with you through this map. Ready to jump into your transformation? Hey, my name is Greg from Renew. I'm a master coach helping people, teams, and organizations to know, design, and become themselves. Renew and I are here to help you live a life where you have control. When we talk about changing behavior, we first need to be clear on what a behavior really is. A lot of people say, I want to be healthier, or I need more discipline. Those are nice intentions, but they're not behaviors. Why? Because you can't actually see them happening. A behavior is something observable, specific, and tied to a context. Walk 10 minutes after lunch. That's a behavior. Stop scrolling my phone in bed. Also a behavior. Think of it like this. If a camera were following you around, could it capture it on film? If yes, it's a behavior. If not, it's a wish, a state, or an outcome. Metaphorically, behaviors are like pixels on a picture. One by one, they look tiny and expressionless, but together they make the image of your life. A coaching question for you. If I filmed you for a month every day, I know that's a bit scary, what behavior would you want me to witness changing? Now let's do this small exercise. Write one from to statement. From scrolling on my phone in bed to placing my phone on the dresser and reading one page instead. Try it now. Pick something. That's concrete. That's observable. So once we know what a behavior actually is, the next question is, why bother changing it in the first place? Motivation isn't just about pushing yourself harder or using sheer willpower. Research in psychology, especially self-determination theory, shows that people stick with change when three needs are met. Our need for autonomy. I feel like it's my choice. Our need for competence. I believe I can actually do it, and I do it. And our need for relatedness. It connects me to others or something bigger than me. When those three psychological needs align, the motivation feels natural, not forced. And you can find much more about this right here. Think of motivation like a rechargeable battery. Autonomy is a charger, competence is a voltage, and relatedness is a socket that keeps the energy flowing. Without all three, the battery will keep draining. Coaching reflections for you. If no one else knew you were doing this, why would you still care? What's the smallest version of this behavior that already feels doable today? And a mini exercise. Take your behavior from section 1, the one you selected, and write one sentence linking it to a value. For example, I walk after lunch to protect my energy for my kids at night. That's more than motivation. That's meaning. And meaning fuels persistence. You like this video so far? Then you know what to do. Also subscribe and put on notifications if you want to receive content like this every week. Check out other YouTube videos from famous YouTube channels in the video description. It's always good to take a look at a topic through multiple lenses. Now let's zoom out a little. Even if you know what you want to change and you're motivated by your own values, you're not doing it in a vacuum. Human beings are profoundly social. Research on social norms shows that what we believe others like us do often drives our behavior more than what we logically think we should do. In one famous study, hotel guests were more likely to reuse their towels when told that most people staying in this room had already done it. Culture is contagious. This is a shared meaning, the we space. It's about the stories, the identities, and the invisible agreements that shape our actions. Think of culture like Wi-Fi. You can't see it, but it's constantly connecting and influencing you. Some coaching questions for you. Who around you is nudging you toward the old behavior? Who could support you in building the new one? What group identity do you want to belong to? I'm a runner. or we're a mindful team, not as a demand, but as an identity statement. For example, I'm building the habit of post-lunch walking. Or if you're working with a group, we are the team that takes walking meetings. When culture supports your change, the behavior becomes lighter, sometimes effortless. We've looked at your actions, your inner motivation, and the cultural influences. One key part that often the most underestimated is systems and environment. The research on habits is clear. Environment often beats willpower. In one longitudinal study, people who repeated the same action in the same context gradually made it automatic, reaching full automaticity at a median of 66 days. Not 21 days, not magic, but consistent repetition in a supportive environment. This is about the systems, structures, and physical setups that either make change easier or impossible. Think of it like gardening. You don't just tell the seed to grow. You prepare the soil, give it sunlight, remove the weeds. You build a nurturing environment. Some coaching reflections for you. What cue in your environment could trigger the new behavior automatically? What friction could you remove that keeps pulling you back to the old one? So tonight, design one environmental nudge. Put your running shoes by the door. Move the snacks to the highest cover. Set a 3 p.m. calendar reminder with a cheerful ping. Or use a tracker you actually see every day. When the system and environment are on your side, your behavior doesn't rely on daily negotiation. It just flows. So far, we've explored behaviors in 4 different ways. Your observable actions, your inner motivation and meaning, your culture and relationships, and your systems and environment. Each is powerful on its own, but a real leverage comes when you put them together. This is what integral theory is about. One key point of that theory is that no quadrant that we've just talked about can be ignored if we want lasting change. You can have the best intentions, but if your environment works against you, the change will struggle. You can build supportive systems, but if the culture around you undermines it, you feel like you're swimming upstream. And if you never connect the action to your values, it just won't stick. If you want to learn much more about integral theory, then check this out. Think of it like a dance performance. You need the dancer's mindset, which is the beliefs, the emotions, the steps, which are the observable actions, the audience and fellow dancers, which is your culture, and the stage, lighting, and music system. That's your environment. Miss one, and the performance feels incomplete. And a few more coaching questions for you. Looking at your target behavior, which quadrant feels strongest for you right now? Rate that 1 to 10. Which quadrant is the weakest link? The one that, if reinforced, would make everything else easier. Again, take one behavior you want to change and map it quickly across the 4 quadrants. Write one action for each. On the mindset quadrant, what belief or value from myself supports this? On the behavior side, what's the specific action I need to do? On the culture side, who supports you and how? On the system, what environment or structure will make it automatic? When you see all 4 written down, you no longer have just a single plan. You have an integral map of your change. And that map is much harder to get lost in. Let's talk about a few pitfall myths and relapse possibilities. First, willpower. For years, we've been told it's like a muscle that just burns out. But large-scale studies show the so-called ego depletion effect is far weaker than we thought. What this means is stop blaming yourself for not having enough willpower. Instead, design your behaviors with systems, culture, and meaning behind them. Second, the idea that change follows a neat staircase of stages: pre-contemplation, contemplation, action, maintenance. While that model can be useful, real life is usually much messier. People jump back and forth, skip steps, or circle around. Change is less like climbing stairs and more like learning to dance. Forward, backward, sideways, sometimes on someone else's toes, or yours. And then there is relapse. Missing a day, a week, or even a month doesn't mean failure. It just means the system needs a reset. Ask yourself this question. When you fall off track, not if, but when, how will you restart without shame? As an exercise, write an if-then-restart plan. For example, if I skip my walks for 3 days, then I'll restart with just 2 minutes right after lunch. This way, relapse becomes part of the design, not a reason to quit, part of the design. Because a real measure of change isn't perfection, it's the ability to restart again and again with wisdom gained each time. So if you take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Behavior change isn't about force. It's about design, aligning your actions, your mindset, your culture, and your environment so they all work in the same direction. And when those 4 quadrants line up, change feels less like pushing a boulder uphill and more like rolling downhill with momentum. I'll leave you with this line. Design beats discipline when the moment of choice arrives. Very much linked to this topic is how to become a master at forming new habits, which you can learn a lot more about in this video right here.